Okay, so we're about to do some match analysis of some players. They played at this private court. It's very nice. Bunch of guys. They look like they're having a good time. And I want to draw your attention to one really important technical skill that's going to come up a few times in the video that I figured we would talk about here because it's so important. It can often spell the difference between being able to end the point with a put-away volley or just extending the rally and allowing the opponents to get back into it. So when you put balls away, you want to put them down into the dirt, right, near your opponent's feet. And it's really hard to do that if when you receive the ball, you prepare your paddle almost in line with your wrist. Remember, if you're trying to hit the ball down, you've got to hit on this kind of an angle. So the ability for players to identify that the high ball is coming, that opportunity is there, is often indicated by how quickly they get their paddle in this kind of position, where the paddle is above their wrist. Because if it's above their wrist, then they can hit it down. And that's true whether we're talking about forehands or backhands, getting the paddle head above the wrist. So watch as we look at this match together. You'll see a few times where they do it really well, and other times, not so much. Let's begin by IDing these players. In the blue, we have Mark. In the black is Ted. The lefty is Scott, and with the white hat is Ron. These guys start off with a really nice first point. I like seeing some speed early on and then some finesse. There is something we can point out, though, about the footwork that Ted used on this backhand dink toward the center of the court. When you don't have very far to move, typically you'll see players use a shuffle step. That puts them in a more stable position. You can see how narrow Ted's base is here because he chose to cross over instead. So it's not the end of the world. He still played a decent dink, moved his opponent around, but that's typically a situation where we'd see a shuffle step for the footwork. Now notice here, Mark gets that ball nice and high, and this is what we were talking about, getting the paddle head well above the wrist. That allows him to hit down on the ball. He's able to put it away. I'm sure he apologized after that, after hitting Scott. All right, let's look at the next point here. Nice put away to finish off the point by Ron. Typically, you don't want those fastballs landing so close to the baseline, but he got the job done. We'll give it to him. Nice couple of backhands there by Ted. Way to accelerate off that backhand side. Now, this is one of those examples we were talking about where the paddle head is not above the wrist. Mark doesn't do a great job here like he did a minute ago, getting the paddle above the wrist so he can hit down. Instead, he can just kind of push the ball forward. This ends up kind of being a nothing ball, doesn't really attack, just kind of puts the ball in play. And even though he wins the rally, it wasn't really because of a great offensive shot here, it's more because of an error. Gotta hand it to Scott, though. The no-look pass back to his partner, Ron. Ron returns the favor by serving before Scott's even in position. And no problem. Scott just handles the next part of the rally easy. All right, in this case, Scott doesn't get quite as close to the kitchen line as he would like. I've been there. You've been playing for a long time. You're a little bit tired. But he's able to handle this ball no problem. And then it comes a bit closer. Now, again, let's talk about that technique, whether the paddle head goes above the wrist or not. You can see the height of the ball over the net. Instead, by keeping the paddle low, the most that Scott's able to do with it is hit forward on it. So that's a bit of a missed opportunity there. This is a much better job by Scott of getting the paddle above the wrist. I mean, it's questionable whether that drive would have gone out, but if you are going to hit this ball, that's the way to do it. Get that paddle head up high, and then you can hit on a downward trajectory. All right, a little bit of the soft game here, and ooh.
Nope, no, just a hair out.
Okay, that ball, I guess, was just out. Nice around the post attempt there by Ted. All right, Mark's not able to put away that overhead smash, allows the rally to continue. Looks like there's a lot of sun out there. Might have been the reason, and that's the better put away. And I love this. Watch Ron in the white here. He's sort of frozen out of this whole rally and just stands there, watches that ball go by. Not much you could do on that one there, Ron. Here's a great job of putting away the high ball. Scott does a good job getting his paddle up above the wrist once again. There it is. Nicely done. The paddle is up high. You can see that this puts him in a position where he can hit down. Notice how short in the court that lands, right? Just past the kitchen, right near the feet. That is where you want to put it. Nice backhand volley there from Ted. Gets it nice and deep, nice and solid. You want your opponents to feel when you're up at the net that, you know, you're not going to miss anything. All right, here's that ball, and look at the paddle head from Mark. Not quite as high as we'd like it to be. Ends up having to hit mainly forward on that ball. They end up winning the rally. I would like to see that paddle head get up a little bit higher, a little bit sooner. guys all have pretty stable wrists when they play most of their dinks. I like that. This is a good attacking shot from Mark right at the body of Ron. Here's another good example, this time from Scott, getting the paddle head high above the wrist, and then notice he's able to hit hard on that downward trajectory. So nice little example here of how in, players at all levels, the ability to get your paddle up when you get that ball that's kind of high can often spell the difference between winning and losing. All right, so there you go. Really fun to watch that match, and I hope that you saw how important that one technical element is, the ability to get the paddle above the wrist on those balls that are high. Sometimes it's easier than others. If the ball's really high, then it's more obvious that you can do that, but that's something that you can work on at home. Ted, thank you very much for submitting this video of the four guys, and if you have a video that you would like me to break down and do some analysis of, be sure to send that to me, Mark at thirdshotsports.com.